Salve omnes, welcome to this video lesson on chapter 25, and we are picking up at the beginning of section 3 here at line 89. Hic Quintus, here Quintus says, inquit, Perge narrare de Teseo et Ariadna. Continue to tell about Theseus and Ariadne. Nonne illa Theseum secuta est? Didn't she follow Theseus? Right, because he had said he was going to take her home to his country. And Sarah says, Theseus e labyrinto exiens, exiting from the labyrinth. Minotaurus necatus est inquit, says, the Minotaur has been slain. Necatus est. Laetamine cives mei, be happy, my citizens, my fellow citizens. And this he would be saying to the other young men and young women who were sent with him. In most stories, they did this like every year or every 7 years. So again, there are different versions of the myth, but they would send 7 young men and 7 young women. So he's talking to the others that were sent along with him as sacrifices to the Minotaur. In tuemini gladium meum cruentum. Look upon, into Llpsi. Now that is a deponent imperative. It's the plural deponent imperative. So they show you in the margin, Llpsi, which is another deponent plural imperative, is essentially synonym for gaudete, plural active imperative, be happy. Into Llpsi is a synonym for spectate. So if you have a deponent verb like laetor, laetari, or intueor, intueri, then the passive form translates active. And again, to know that a verb is deponent, you will see that often noted in the entry. But also, if you just see a verb that's listed like with or and then re on the end of the second part, so something like loquor, loqui, or laetor, laetari, or intueor, intueri, or werior, wereri, all of those kind of verbs, you know, they look passive, they translate active, and they're called deponents. So again here, Llpsi, be happy, plural command form. Into Llpsi, look or gaze upon. And again, that's a passive imperative form, but we translate it active. Okay, look upon my bloody sword, gladium meum cruentum. Sequimini, here's another of those passive plural imperatives. Follow me ad portum, me to the port, to the harbor. Okay. Ibi, navis mea parata est, there my ship has been prepared, ad navigandum, to sail. Tum Ariadnam conspiciens, then looking at Ariadne, he says, inquit, et tu sequere me, and you follow me. Okay, so far so good. He is telling her to follow him to the ship. Proficiscere mecum Athenas. Set out with me to Athens. Or for Athens, we might say. Ariadna, quae nihil magis cupiebat. Ariadne, who desired nothing more, right? She fell in love with him. She wants to go with him. Says, inquit, parata sum ad fugiendum. I am prepared for fleeing, or to run away, we might say. Atque sine mora, and without delay, navim Tesei conscendit. She boarded Theseus's ship. She climbed aboard, conscendit. Theseus navim solvit. Theseus sets the ship sail. So solvit navim, literally solvere is to loosen, and this is an idiom for setting sail for a ship because you have to release the anchors and the mooring ropes. So when you release anchors and mooring ropes, you are loosening the ship and thus setting sail. So Theseus sets the ship sail. Et cum filia regis, and with the daughter of the king, navigavit Naxum, sailed to Naxos. Ibi vero, there indeed, nocte selinti, in the quiet night, Ariadnam dormientem reliquit, he left Ariadne sleeping, atque ipse Naxo profectus est, and he himself set out from Naxos. Not a very nice thing to do, but he did. Again, this is one of these standard myths of the men heroes leaving the women. Jason abandons Medea for a younger woman. Aeneas abandons Dido to go off and follow his way to the east, again for a younger woman in the end. So there are lots of myths like this about how untrustworthy men often are. Okay. All right, then picking up in line 101. Mane, in the morning. Ariadna e somno excitata. Ariadne, woken up from sleep. Amicum in litere quae sivit. She sought her boyfriend, amicum, on the shore, in litere. Neque eum reperit, nor did she find him. Puella misera, the sad or miserable girl, ab humile litere, from the low-lying shore, in altum saxum ascendit, climbed up onto a high rock. And here we see this illustrated in the picture. Unde prospiciens, from which looking out, or whence looking out, looking forth, you might say, for prospiciens, navim Tesei procul in mari vidit. She saw Theseus's ship, far off, procul, in the sea. Tum etsi vox eius a nullo audire poterat. Then, even if her voice, vox eius, could be heard, poterat audire, by no one, a nullo. Ariadna amicum suum fugientem ucavit. Ariadne called on her boyfriend running away. Her runaway boyfriend. Teseo, Teseo, revertere ad me. Theseus, Theseus, return to me. Now, revertere is another of these deponent imperatives. So, again, it looks like it might be an active infinitive, but it's not. These look like active infinitives, but it's a singular imperative. We had them in a previous chapter as well. So, return to me. Neque ullum responsum ei reditum est, nor was any response returned to her ei. Praeter vocem ipsius, except for her own voice, quam dura saxa rediderunt, which the hard rocks returned. Whoa. So it's like the rocks are listening even better than he is. Brevi navis e conspecto eius abiet. In a short time, or soon, brevi, the ship departed from or left from her sight, e conspectu eius. Neque iam ullum velum in mare cernebatur, nor now was any veil, any sail rather. The word velum can mean a lot of different things. It's essentially a word for a large sheet of cloth. So it can be a veil for a woman. It can be kind of a canopy or an awning for an outside, shade purposes. And it can be a sail of a ship, as we have it here. Okay, nor was any sail now seen, cernebatur, on the sea, in mari. All right, and then picking up at the end of 109, Ariadna igitur in litus descendit. Ariadne therefore descended or climbed down to the shore. Atque huc et luc currens, and running here and there. So this gives the image of her being kind of frantic, not knowing what to do. Multis cum lacrimis, with many tears, capillum et vestim scindebat. She rent or tore her hair and her clothing. And these are kind of, it doesn't seem very practical, but it was one thing that's indicative of mourning in ancient Greek and Roman society at times. It's specifically Greek for the most part, but some part with Romans as well. To sort of pull out your hair, to rip your clothes and things like that. Ut homines, as people, qui maerent agresolent, who are grieving are accustomed to do. Okay, so that's marking this as a typical kind of activity of people, at least in the ancient world, pulling at your hair, tearing your clothes. Ita marebat, so grieved, virgo miserrima, the most miserable young woman. Quae aviro quim ante omnes amabat, sola relicta erat, who had been left alone, relicta erat sola, by a man, aviro, whom she loved before all others, ante omnes. All right, so she had been left behind inter feras insulae, among the wild animals of the island, sicut agnis timidus, as if, or just as, a fearful lamb, inter saevos lupos, among savage wolves. So this is really just driving home the point of how badly Theseus treated her. So kind of a deserted island with wild beasts running around everywhere, and poor Ariadne doesn't stand a chance. He's condemned her. Theseus has condemned her to a certain death at the hands of fierce wild animals. All right, and 116, Quintus says, Cur Theseus amicum suum iter deseruit. Why did Theseus so desert his girlfriend, amicum suum? And Syrah says, Tale sunt viri mi puer. Such are men, my boy. So talis is often used in correlation with qualis. Qualis means what sort. Talis means this sort or that sort. You can also translate it as such. Men are like that, my boy. So she's like, yep, this is just what men do. Hopefully, maybe she's telling us the story this way to try to drive it home. So maybe Quintus maybe isn't as bad as other men that she's known when he grows up. Montes ari feminis policintur. They promise policintur mountains of gold. Montes ari, 2 women, feminis. Tum promissa obliviscuntur. Then they forget their promises. Ac feminas sine numo deserunt. And they leave the women, desert the women, deserunt feminas, without a coin, sine numo. Quis tam facile promissum obliviscitur, quam vir qui feminam amavit. Who forgets his promise as easily, or so easily as, a man who has loved a woman? Okay, so the point she's making here is that yeah, men are bad, but particularly bad are men that are motivated by love, and it makes them forget everything, and they do stupid things, and they make promises, and of course they're never going to live up to them. All right, 120, ego quoque, I too, olem desertasum, was once deserted, ab amico pecunioso, by a rich boyfriend, qui mihi magnas res policitus erat, who had promised me great things. Noli vero putare me, but don't think that I, ob cupiditatem pecuniae amavisse eum, loved him, amavisse eum, on account of desire for money. Ob cupiditatem pecuniae. Ego eum amabam, I loved him, quia eum probum virum esse credebam, because I believed him to be a good or decent man, probum virum. Etiam nunc maereo, even now I am grieving, ob amorem ilius viri, on account of the love of that man, or my love of that man. Quintus says, Obliviscere ilius viri improbi, forget that wicked man, that bad man, qui te tam turpiter deseruit, who abandoned you or deserted you so disgracefully. And Syrah says, non facile est, it is not easy, amoris antiqui oblivisci, to forget an old love. And I should note here, oblivisci, that's from obliviscor, a deponent verb, obliviscor, oblivisci, oblitu sum, to forget. And that verb, just like verbs of remembering as well, like memini, meminisse, which is to remember, will often take a genitive for the thing that you remember or forget. A lot of times this is called a genitive of memory or a genitive with verbs of remembering and forgetting. So amoris antiqui is genitive case. Now, you could say it something like this if you wanted to get the feel for it in English. It's not easy to be forgetful of old love, if that helps you understand it. So again, you can have an accusative object with verbs of remembering and forgetting, but quite commonly they will have a genitive object like here. All right, not easy to forget an old love. Sed hoc, tu non dum intelliges mi quinte, but this you do not yet understand, my Quintus. He's only 7 years old. He's not old enough for this yet. Redeo ad narrationem fabulae. I return to the telling of the story, quam prope oblita sum, which I nearly forgot, dum aleis rebus loquor, while I was speaking about other things. Ariadna, Naxi, Relicta. Notice that Ariadna and Relicta have the long A ablative, so this is an ablative absolute. With Ariadne left behind on Naxos, which essentially means the same as saying after he left Ariadne on Naxos. Okay, so with Ariadne left behind on Naxos, Theseus ad patriam suam navigabat. Theseus sailed to his homeland, ad patriam suam. Interim, meanwhile, pater eus Aegeus, his father Aegis. Now, Aegis I mentioned earlier, this is his mortal father, the king of the Athenians. Again, his immortal father, because a lot of heroes have two fathers, mortal and immortal. His immortal father was Poseidon. So, meanwhile, his father Aegis, Rex Atheniensium, the king of the Athenians, ab alto saxo in mare prospiciebat, was looking forth upon the sea in mare from a tall rock. Brevi, soon or in a short time, navis filii, the ship of his son, in conspectum venit, came into sight, sed navis rediens, but the returning ship, eadem vela atra gerebat, quae abiens geserat. Turning ship bore or carried, gerebat, the same dark sails, eadem vela atra, which it had borne, which it had carried, quae geserat, going away, abiens. Okay, so here we're alluding to part of the myth where he had promised his dad didn't want to let him go, but he had promised his dad, oh, I'm going to do it all and I will come back to you safely. And his dad's like, okay, but I want to know as soon as possible. So when you come back, change the black sails to white to let me know you succeeded and you're alive. Okay. Te sivusenem pos necim minotauri vela mutare oblitus erat. For Theseus, after the death of the Minotaur, post necem minotauri, had forgotten, oblitus erat, to change the sails. Now again, in some of the versions of this, the poets often particularly like to point this out because it's nice poetic justice, right? So when he abandons Ariadne and she's calling out and crying on the beach there on Naxos, she calls out to the gods and she asks them to sort of get back at Theseus by making him forget to change the sails because he had told her about this. And she says, yeah, make him forget to change the sails as he's going back to Athens because then, perhaps his father will think he's dead and bad things will come from this, right? And this is what happened. So here it's just he forgot, right? But in a lot of the versions of the myth, it's because Ariadne asks the gods to make him forget. Itaque Aegeus, and so Aegis, arbitratus mortem filii, thinking that the death of his son, eo colore significare, was signified by that color, meaning the dark color of the sails. Sine mora, without delay, de saxo se yekit, threw himself from the rock, in mare, into the sea. So he's like looking out over this like rocky cliff, and he just tosses himself to his death in the rocks and surf below. Quod a nomine eius, etiam nunc mare Aegaeum vocatur, which even now is called by his name, the Aegean Sea. All right, so we looked at that at the map of Greece right in the first video lesson of this chapter. So the Aegean Sea is the sea between Greece and Crete and modern-day Turkey or Asia Minor in the ancient world. So according to this myth, that name Aegean Sea comes from Aegeus, the father of Theseus, who threw himself into the sea thinking his son was dead. There is another story that said it's named after a giant named Aegaeon who was tossed into the sea and killed as well. So again, there are two myths about that. All right, and then in line 141, post mortem regis Aegaei, after the death of King Aegeus, Philios Eus Theseus, his son Theseus, Rex Atheniensium factus est, was made king of the Athenians. Qui multos annos Athenas magna cum gloria rexit, who, and of course that refers to Theseus, ruled Rexit, Athens with great glory, magna cum gloria, for many years, multos annos. His verbis, with these words, ablative, Syrrha finem narrationes facit. Syrrha makes an end of her storytelling, narrationes. All right. Well, again, I hope you learned a few things here in this chapter. The big grammar, as you can see there in the Grammatica Latina right below, is these deponent imperatives. And again, the singular ones end with the RE, so they look like active in infinitives. Laetare, though, is not to be happy, but rather be happy, singular. Intuere, look or gaze upon. Revertere, return as a singular command. Partire is a singular command, meaning essentially to just divide or share out things. And then, of course, you've got all of the many forms. Laetamini, intuemini, revertimini, partimini, and all of those are the plural passive imperatives or plural deponent imperatives, because deponent verbs always use passive forms. Okay. Well, let's